just think, if you've worked your whole life, you've saved, you're on a fixed income to begin with, you're trying to, be a good steward of your money, and then you get scammed. And these scammers, there's so many scams out there, and they are so tricky. They really are. Welcome to Aging in Style with Lori Williams, the podcast all about finding the silver lining no matter what life throws your way. I'm Lori Williams, an award-winning senior living expert, author, educator, and caregiver to my husband, Mark. Join me as I share insights, tips, and personal stories to help you navigate the world of senior housing, discover ways to pay for care, advocate for your loved ones, and most importantly, learn how to thrive, not just survive, as you age. Hi, welcome to Aging in Style. Today, I have a very serious topic I want to discuss with you, and it is AI, artificial intelligence-driven scams. There are billion, and I did say billion with a B, $billion losses due to these scams. Just this week, the FBI issued a warning about a huge AI-fueled scam that's targeting seniors and siphoning off billions of dollars from their retirement savings. This isn't some kind of a future threat. This is happening now. So this is what the FBI warns. Here's how it unfolds. So criminals use a 3-phase scam. Okay, so they are getting so slick, y'all. Here's what they do. First, a fake tech support call tricks you into allowing remote access to your computer. Okay, then someone who claims to be from your bank says your account has been compromised and urges you to move your funds. Okay, third part, a person pretending to be from a government agency like FBI, Medicare, be one of those. They then pressure you, like this huge sense of urgency, to transfer your assets to a so-called safe, in air quotes there, safe account. And then the role of AI, so what's really making this scary is that scammers are now using AI tools to clone voices, or they can create what they call deep fake videos of people you trust. So one expert who was on the news talking about this, Pete Nicoletti, he's the Chief Information Security Officer at Checkpoint. He said the impact of all this is devastating. And he warns that families need to talk and know that this is a possibility that their voice could be cloned or a deep fake video could be made, because these scammers they're getting real personal. They use AI to pull data from your social media. And if you have a social media presence, this kind of scares me because I clearly do. Like they know, say you love Corvettes, you were like posting something about your Corvette or your dog or whatever. So they just put together and craft these very believable messages that your family you would think it's legit. They know me, or, messages from you to your family. So this is something families need to talk about. And, one of the things they've talked a lot about, and I've had other people mention this to me, is you should have a family code word that only your family knows in case one of these scammers is trying to clone a voice of someone you love. So important. We'll get back to that. So even worse than all of this is just so awful anyhow. But here is a sobering statistic that this gentleman, Pete Nicoletti, shared. He said, okay, get this. If victims report the theft the same day, recovery chances are in the single digits, maybe 10 to 15%. But once that window closes, if you haven't reported it in the same day, it's often too late and you're out all your money. Whew. This isn't small scale either. The FBI reports losses already that top 1 billion from this, and they're calling it a phantom hacker scam. And seniors are overwhelmingly the targets. And they're not only losing their money, and they're losing their peace of mind too, because just think, if you've worked your whole life, you've saved, you're on a fixed income to begin with, you're trying to, be a good steward of your money, and then you get scammed. And these scammers, there's so many scams out there, and they are so tricky. They really are. I had my brother on a couple of months ago, and we'll put a link to that podcast episode as well. And he's in his 50s, and he is not a guy who's easy to trick. And he almost felt, well, he wasn't going to fall victim to it, but he was initially thought it was real, and it was the jury duty scam. That's another big one that's been going on. And so we'll, as I said, we'll link that back so you can listen to it. But it's just, it's awful how they're taking advantage of people, and especially heinous to take advantage of seniors. That just gets my blood to boiling. So banks are fighting back. So there's some hope here. Banks are starting to use artificial intelligence themselves, but in a good way. So they're monitoring for unusual transfers or setting up alerts and flagging suspicious behavior. But it's crucial that you do your part, which is you must verify activity directly with your bank, and ideally through trusted official channels, not something the scammer gives you. So if someone calls and says they're from your bank, you can hang up and say, I'm going to call back, and truly call your bank, because they're trying to keep you on the phone. They're trying to keep you hooked into this scam, and they're trying to create this urgency and get you emotional that you've got to do this right away. And you just cannot fall for that. So here's some action steps that you can take and kind of stay ahead of all this. Number one, if you suspect a scammer, or someone calls you with anything trying to trick you about your computer, your money, anything at all, just pause. Never rush. Scammers are banking on the fact that you're going to panic. So just stay calm. Number two, verify. Hang up and call back on an official number, like the number that's on the back of your bank card. There's always that number on the back of your card to call. And they'll try to get you not to hang up. Number three, set up fraud alerts. Ask your bank to notify you via text or phone for any suspicious activity. And number four, use a family password. And this is that cloning of your voice, and for deep fake videos, agree on a secret code with your family so you can confirm that calls are legitimate. And I'm telling you what, I'm doing this with my family today because, the more you're out there with your voice, obviously I have this podcast out there so they could clone my voice. So I'm going to make sure my whole family knows, don't fall victim to this, y'all. Here is our code word. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be a good one. And I'm not sharing it just with my family. So think about this today. If you can do one thing, create a family password. And 5, talk about it. Share this information with your friends, with your neighbors. You're not alone. And being aware is your best defense. If you are targeted, you can contact the FBI Elder Fraud Hotline. And here's the number. It's 1-833-FRAUD-11 or 1-833-372-8311. Also, report the scam at reportfraud.ftc.gov. We'll put all of this in the show notes so you'll be able to get it. And then 3, reach out to your bank or financial institution immediately. Y'all, these scams are real and they're sophisticated, they're scary, but what you can do to protect yourself and your friends and family, talk about it, share it, but also verify and lean into your community for support. And we don't want to talk about these things and they're so awful, but we need to be aware. I'm also going to link the full article in the show notes. It's titled FBI Warns Seniors About $1 Billion Scam Draining Retirement Funds. So that'll be linked if you want to read the whole article. And again, just as I said earlier, share this podcast with everyone that you know. I just hate the thought of one person or especially one senior falling victim to a scam like this. Thank you so much for listening as always. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so you will be alerted every Friday when a new podcast drops. Thanks again, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.